All right, everyone. It seems like more and more politicians don't understand the First Amendment. A lot of them don't understand the Second, especially Democrats, and a lot of Republicans don't seem to understand the Fourth. And depending on the situation, none of them seem to support the 10th Amendment many times. But the First Amendment usually binds them together. Like even people that are on the left generally understand the concept of free speech. They might waffle a little bit, but they at least pretend to care about it. But Pamkeith, who's a Floridian, I think she's actually still a candidate. I don't think it's been declared. She suggested that we should destroy Fox News and One America News Network for, like, I don't know, disinfo or rabble rousing or whatever. Link in the description to her tweet, archived, of course. Always use archive.today, especially when sending news tips, please, because otherwise I won't even click them, because they don't deserve the click. They don't deserve the traffic any more than they would the ad revenue, even if I didn't have 3 ad blockers on my computer. That being said, the idea of, I thought the Democrats' line up until, now, was that Trump hated the First Amendment because he would criticize the corporate press. Well, so then how would attempting to use the government to unilaterally shut down syndicated news networks, how would that not be a violation in the same sense and far worse? Now, of course, I don't care about Fox News. One American News Network is good. Fox News is legacy media. I don't really care whether they do stay afloat or not. What I would say is if you don't like Fox, just wait a minute, because it seems like their management is incapable of making rational branding decisions. You've got a huge corpus of more populistic Republicans that used to, they would watch Fox all the time. Now they're tuning it out. Their ratings have taken a draconian hit. CNN too, by the way. CNN's reporting is now fumbling. It looks like AT&T might actually sell off CNN as an asset. I know I would be short selling them myself. If I had stock in any of these groups, I wouldn't be holding it. But anyway, Fox News is protected by the First Amendment. I mean, it's regrettable that corporate media outlets can lie flat out to people and not face any repercussions. Like, I've had hit pieces written about me. Certainly the alt-tech sites are constantly reamed by hit pieces. There should be legal repercussions for such defamation, but there's not. And the First Amendment is considered rather sacrosanct on this particular issue. Now, keep in mind, the rights of the press don't actually detail a press as in press passes or as in a corporation representing people with journalism degrees. The press literally that's spoken of in the First Amendment refers to the printing press. But Fox News is engaged in that particular behavior. The printing press may no longer be used in the sense of a wooden-framed, movable-type, manual, gigantic machine that slowly prints page after page, usually back then on hemp paper, by the way, of leather-bound manuscripts or something. That's not a thing anymore. But the electronic era is no different. It's basically any form of information distribution other than the interpersonal. Speech would be, I'm talking to you in person. We're next to each other, we're having a conversation at the table. The press is everything else. It's electronic or mechanical, it's non-personal. Billeting, magazines, books, internet sites, television, radio, and so forth are all activities of the press. By the way, we're the press. Anyone engaged in those activities is being the press at the time. This computer is basically the equivalent of a modern printing press. Only it's a lot more efficient to reach hundreds of thousands of people this way than to crank them out by hand. Even if you're doing a one-page billet, it's going to take you a while. You could probably figure out a way to automate it. I wonder if you could use like a windmill or a water mill or something to operate a press like that. As long as you had something to remove the sheet when it was done and put the next empty sheet on, you could probably create an automated press with Renaissance-era technology. Just saying. That'd be something, you can do that as a pet project. You'd probably make a lot of money hand-binding books that way if that was one of your skills. Probably get $1,000 a copy or some crazy amount. But Pamkeith apparently, our elected officials, when they openly call for treason against the Constitution, shouldn't they be removed from office? I would think that they should. And that includes, by the way, the Second Amendment, with all the stupid proposals of the Democrats right now, overstretching thy name is, doing exactly what Democrats predictably always do. It's odd, by the way, that you'd have a Florida politician saying this. Florida is like the most corrupt, least level-headed state, but generally speaking is rather vaguely right-leaning, at least in the rhino-con sense. But then you have this Democrat, and it seems like all of the newly minted Democrats hate the Constitution. Like, it isn't like the old wave of liberals. I know, like, Fox or like Bill O'Reilly said, well, they hate the Constitution and stuff. Not really. They're just more waffly about it, in a way. But I've never seen such vitriol as I see now among the younger, upstart, progressive Democrats towards all of the amendments, really. They don't seem to believe that there should be freedom of speech. They think corporations should essentially censor the whole population where the government can't. They certainly don't support the right to keep and bear arms. That's a perennial issue. They appear reluctant to support states' rights unless Trump is the president, then states' rights good. Then they sound like neo-Confederates. The Fourth Amendment, not really, and they definitely don't like the rights of the accused. Look at how they treated Sandman and Rittenhouse. So they think you're guilty until proven innocent unless you happen to be a person of color shot by a police officer. Then, of course, even if you were waving a knife around threatening to cut people's heads off, you're the good guy in that situation, it seems, according to these people. It's very confusing. It's confusing how these people get elected, by the way. Who are their constituents? What kind of constituency do you have to have for such an utter fucking moron to be actually an elected official? It boggles the mind. Of course, it's Florida. Maybe we shouldn't be too surprised about that. That's about all. Peace out.